My memory fails me as to how long I've been here now. Not that it matters at this point. An earthly concept such as time simply doesn't exist within this forsaken realm. A single minute is a whole day. That day is an entire year. That year is a whole century. There is no time. There is only eternity. I can no longer remember my life prior to my arrival here. Who I was, what kind of person I was, the people I loved, the people I hated. It is such a distant memory at this point that those moments have simply ceased to be. The only thing that I do know is that I must have done something truly terrible on the neutral plane to have condemned myself to this existence. The earliest memory that I can recall is still an incredibly vivid one. That first moment when I was confronted by the endless blackness. I could see nothing around me. I felt no ground beneath my feet. And yet there I stood, upright, as if still bound by the laws of gravity. Then they appeared before me, the people from the other side, the neutral plane. No longer could I recognize their faces, nor remember their names, but I knew at that very moment in my heart that they were the faces of my family. That was the first and last time that I recalled feeling the emotion of love. My family suddenly rushed towards me with stares of complete madness within their eyes, gazes which no man nor woman on the neutral plane could have ever given. They started to approach me, and as they did, they let raw with a terrifying screech. Once they got close enough, they leapt towards me and proceeded to tear my body apart, using their hands and teeth. The pain was truly indescribable. To even attempt to describe it would not do it justice. I collapsed to the deceptively non-existent ground and felt my consciousness slip away from my now mutilated and destroyed carcass. I awoke, and there I was once again, within the endless blackness, and once again they were there with me, my family, rushing towards me as they previously had. This time I ran away from them as fast as I could, but the endless blackness is an inescapable void. Inevitably, my family quickly hunted me down, and the unbearable process of being decimated repeated. How many times did this occur? I cannot say, but it felt like several lifetimes went by. Excruciating death, again, again, and again. For a while, I attempted to plead with or to fight off my family, but this proved to be a pointless endeavor. No matter how heartfelt the words from my mouth, or how powerful the swing from my punch, it never had any impact upon their unbreakable will. I eventually learned to give way to my terrible fate, and I would simply lay down and writhe around in agony, while staring into the insanity-filled eyes of my once loved ones as they tore me to bloody pieces. Eventually, I was confronted by a new set of torturers in my family's place. In spite of my new host's hideous, bulbous, and monstrous appearances, I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't momentarily relieved to have left my past destroyers behind. Of course, that relief didn't last long. It never does here. In fact, I quickly came to realize that my situation had become far worse. These sweaty, malformed, almost featureless masses of fat slowly peeled the skin from my body and savored its flavor as they slurped it down their greasy, gigantic mouths, before eventually tearing through to my innards and casually consuming my internal organs. On rare occasions I would notice a look of what appeared to be sadness floating amongst the rabid frenzy emanating from the creature's eyes as they consumed my flesh. As my torment and suffering continued throughout the ages, various creatures of all manner of shapes and sizes would continue to rip me to pieces before the next set of unspeakable horrors would step in and take their place in order to continue their cruel duty, each time in increasingly horrendous ways. That was until the moment when it summoned me. At that moment I was no longer within the endless blackness. This place had form. Not much form, mind you. The blackness was still seeping through, but it was no longer endless. It was a comfort after so long to actually see objects, even though those objects were twisted and perverted elements from the neutral plane. Vines made from flesh, flowers comprised of pus-filled boils, and blood dripping from the pores of every crevice. That's when I saw it hanging above me. At first I couldn't see it. It blended in with its surroundings, seemingly at one with them, nested in amongst the mass of pulsating veins. Its reptilian eyes met mine. Then it smiled that terrible smile, showing its immense set of razor-sharp teeth, and its raspy voice spoke my name, a name which I had long since forgotten, but somewhere in the depths of my subconscious, I knew that it was my name. It proceeded to gleefully explain that I could choose my fate. Either I could return to experience an eternity of my own death within the endless blackness, or I could end my physical torment if I were to do its bidding. Already my frail voice had chosen the latter option, even before I could truly process the question within my brain. The creature's smile grew even wider, revealing even more spiked teeth as it granted my wish. And so, here I am, inhabiting one horrible grotesque form after the other, breeding new blood to this realm by devouring them. I can no longer talk. When I attempt to speak, the only sound I can produce is a monstrous screech. At times the petrified and agonized stare of one of my victims will meet with my own gaze, and I look upon them with pity. After all, we are all to suffer the same ultimate fate as each other, again, again, and again, for all of eternity.